You should subscribe to the Monaresclub. Because the Principal of Saiyans told you to, idiot. Bye.
What's up, guys? This is James, bringing you another deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh! For the Monaresclub here at YouTube.com. Today I'm bringing you a little bit of a spicy deck here. So this is going to be a 60-card Plant Shaddoll deck. It's something I've been messing around with for a long time, and I'm very excited to be able to share with you the fruits of my labor, as per these plants, that is, and show off this deck list for you. So I've been trying out Shaddoll with Scorpio as the normal summon for a long time, because one of the things Shaddolls really need is a really strong normal summon. And Scorpio is really cool because you can pitch a card when he comes in and then grab Darlingtonia Cobra, and then Darlingtonia Cobra can grab one of your fusion spells. So that helps fix one of the biggest problems with Shaddoll, which is not finding a fusion spell. A lot of people will use, Invoked for this specific purpose, but I don't really like Shaddoll Invoked that much. I think it's kind of boring, so I've just been trying out other routes, and Scorpio has been really good. I was playing it with 40 cards for a long time, because I'm very much a 40-card stickler, but, opening with the one Darlingtonia Cobra kind of sucked, and adding a second Cobra sucked even more. And I realized, hey, we can actually find this Scorpio off of Lone Fire Blossom, but then trying to cut cards to make room for Lone Fire Blossom in a 40-card list was just miserable. So eventually I just decided to say, screw it, let's try out 60 cards. I ran all the numbers for everything, for all of our starters, and for our Shaddolls and whatnot, and I actually figured out the ratios are better with a 60-card deck for this deck. So between the ratios being better, as well as being able to play cards that I normally didn't have room to include, like Pot of Avarice is a card I've always wanted to add a copy or two of in Shaddoll, but there's just never been room because it helps you replenish your extra deck in those longer games, as well as the fact that you can set it up turn 1 really easily. It made sense to bump up to 60. Not only that, but it helps it so you don't brick on this Cobra nearly as often as you would have in a 40-card deck. So I'll just get into the deck right now. So we'll start out with the Shaddolls. We're playing a bunch of them because we really need to open with one. So we're playing, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Shaddolls. So, a good quarter of our deck are Shaddolls. We're doing Wendy and Squamata and Hedgehog as our threes. Wendy and Squamata are our best starters, so we have to play 3 of those. Hedgehog is just kind of the next best one. And, he helps set up your hand, and also in a pinch can flip to find a fusion spell, so he's the next best one. Then we have 2 Beast, as well as 2 Dragon, because Dragon's actually really relevant in the format right now. People are still playing a lot of back row. So I've found having the second Dragon to be clutch, being able to go, if you can't OTK in one turn, you can just go, Dragon one turn, and then Dragon the next turn to clear out the rest of the back row, and then that can win you a lot of games. And then one Falco, he's not the best Shaddoll, but we do have him as a tuner. We want a tuner Shaddoll to be able to tutor with Crystron Health and Vibrax. And then Ariel for the Shaddoll combos, which I'll get to later in the video. Hand traps, we've got 3 Ash, is just the best. 3 Gamma, because it's a light to help feed to get to our Shaddoll construct. We need a really high light count in order to get on our constructs as early as possible, as well as the fact that it protects both Shaddoll Fusion from Ash and Lone Fire Blossom from Ash. So this is one of the best hand traps in the deck. Got the driver, it's a brick, but it's playing 60 cards helps a lot with that. 3 Effect Veiler, obviously it's not nearly as good as Infinite Impermanence, but it's a light monster, so this is the concession we have to make for wanting to play Shaddoll. We're just going to play Effect Veiler since it can also be used as a fusion piece. Then I've got 2 Nibiru, the Primal Being, which might look a little weird. You could also just play more Perform Mage cards if you wanted. I just wanted to bump the hand trap count up just a little bit, and Nibiru's not the best all the time, so I just had to, again, as like a light and a hand trap kind of split card here. Perform Mage Trick Clown, we need 1 for the 1-card Shaddoll fusion combo. It's just insanely good. We have to play 1, and then we have 1 Damage Juggler to help turn cards like Random Foolish Burial or whatnot into Light Monster, because we can then just tutor up a Perform Mage Trick Clown from our deck using that, as well as the fact that it's got a reasonable ability in hand, and it's, again, a Light Monster. 3 of each fusion spell, need to see these, so we're playing 3. 3 Super Poly, because we're the best Super Poly deck. This card's still really good, and it might even get better going into the future format. Not too sure, but you can also tutor this off of Darlingtonia Cobra, as well as Verte Anaconda, so this is just super clutch in our deck. Bunch of one-ofs. These are just kind of the sacky one-ofs for the most part. We've got Monster, Reborn, Mind Control, Foolish Burial, and Called by the Grave. These are kind of just kind of like the sacky if you draw them, then great. Otherwise, you know, they're just powerhouse cards on their own. Instant Fusion allows us to get a 1-card Link 4 off of our Orphos Scorpio, because it tutors up. You can tutor up Darlingtonia Cobra, use that to grab Instant Fusion, and then go into Cross Sheep, and then Cross Sheep will proc off of the Instant Fusion. You can bring back one of these guys, and then you've got a Link 4, just like that, in an instant. It's also a split card, a little bit, because we can summon up Mud Dragon or Winda, so this can also fill in as a light monster, because you can turn it into a light monster with Mud, you can turn Mud Dragon into a light monster with its own effect, or you can summon up Winda with it so then it can be either missing piece of your fusion for a Shaddoll fusion play as well. So it's very flexible. You know, if there was more copies, obviously I'd play more, but we can only play one. Emergency Teleport's kind of a similar card. It's not only is it an extender to help us play through our opponent's interruption, but it also is a split card because it can summon up a psychic monster of level 3 or less from our deck. Conveniently, Shaddoll Wendy is a level 3 psychic monster, so it can summon up either Psyframe Gear Gamma, because it gets around its summoning restriction here, or Wendy, so it can become either a light monster or a Shaddoll, just like Instant Fusion can. So this is a really nice, flexible card. 3 Pot of Avarice. This is normally not a card I'd play 3 of, but we're playing 60 cards, and we can set it up so freaking easy in this deck. It's just so easy to turn on turn 1, and 60 cards helps to split them up so we don't draw multiples of them. Shaddoll Incarnation, this is just for our combo. Shaddoll Rook, Shaddoll Schism is just insanely powerful. It's our best card to end with on our turn if we go first with a turn 1 combo, because our turn 1 combo can end with an Appaloosa plus a Shaddoll Schism, which can then make Winda on our opponent's turn. Orphos Scorpio is kind of where this all started out. He's just really good. He's a dark as well, so you can help make Winda with him, and then he can just set up the Darlingtonia Cobra. Lone Fire Blossom is just insane. He sets up Pot of Avarice almost instantly by himself, and he can also tutor up Spore. Spore is a nice little extender. It's great off of Foolish. It's great off of Halki Fibrax. This is the main thing we have it for, is for Halki Fibrax, as well as Cross Sheep plays. You can make some really insane boards with Cross Sheep, because you can Lone Fire out all of your Lone Fires, then go into Scorpio and Cobra, and then Cobra can grab Instant Fusion, then Instant Fusion. You can then link into Cross Sheep, Instant Fusion, bring back Lone Fire, and then pitch Lone Fire for Spore, and then you can link off with Spore and then bring Spore back and continue to make more plays. So, unfortunately, Spore's a Wind, which is just about the worst type it could possibly be for our deck. It's like Wind and Fire are the 2 worst, but Wind's like by far the worst. But he's still really, really solid, and it's okay to just play one, I think. Then churning out the last of our list, I wasn't really sure how to fill out the last 3 cards. I was trying out Allure, I was trying out like more Perform Mages. The issue with Allure is that actually pretty much all of your dark monsters, except for like extras of these guys, you want in your hand, because they're your material for your combos. So it's actually not that good to be pitching them for Allure, even if you are getting some nice filter. So I ended up just going with a Rhoda package. So there's 1 reinforcement, and then there's an Armageddon Knight, which is an on-summon Foolish for a dark monster, and then also a Raiden. Raiden is not the best. This is definitely the 60th card in the deck. That's why I have him here. But it helps us turn our Rhoda into a light monster if we already are set up, or we don't want our Armageddon Knight, for example. He's a tuner, so you can summon up a light monster that's a tuner that isn't Gamma, I guess, with Halki Fibrax, and he can set up Halki Fibrax. And he has an okay effect, like you can mill 2 and hope to get lucky and hit some Shaddolls sometimes. That'll work out. It's mostly just it's like it's your worst starter for sure, but it's just a light monster to tutor off of Rhoda most of the time, as well as being a reasonable starter sometimes. Extra deck, we've got Shekinaga. We need this as a super poly target for Zodiac to get off both the Dryden off the table, as well as Megaclops. I think Zodiac's going to be pretty popular because Eldritch didn't get hit at all on the last list, so we're definitely going to be wanting to main deck the super poly target for that matchup. 3 Construct, it's too good. You go through all 3 almost all the time, and then you even want more with Pot of Avarice, so you got to play 3. These are super poly targets with Starving Venom and Mud Dragon. They're just standard super poly targets. 1, Apaclone. He can tutor up any Shaddoll card from your deck, as well as being super flexible with how you summon it, and also a really good Shaddoll Schism target, because you can, or quick play speed Shaddoll Fusion to turn off an opponent's effect during their main phase. It can be really good disruption. as well as just being able to grab any Shaddoll card from your deck is awesome. 2 Winda, you might think that 2 is too many, but I've had enough games where I've wanted 2 that I think 2 is the right number. Especially those games where you end up using an instant fusion to make one, and then you also want one for your opponent's turn to make off of Shaddoll Schism. The Link monsters, Access Code Talker is our big boom, fatty boom baddie. You could technically play Boral Sword if this is out of budget for you, but I would really recommend Access Code Talker because he's available off of so many more lines. Almost all of our standard Frost Sheep lines end with an Access Code Talker, but you need an extra piece of material if you want to make Boral Sword, because Access Code only needs 2. Appaloosa is our going first tool. It gives us some really good going first boards. It's really easy to pass with like a 3 material Appaloosa plus a Shaddoll Schism, which is reasonable for, you know, maybe set a Super Poly or whatever, which is reasonable for a deck that's not known for having good going first options. Nightmare Unicorn is our piece to go with Access Code Talker. That's pretty much all it's used for as well. You know, it's just 3 to go into Access Code off of, as well as pitch a card to remove opponent's card. And it's solid. Cross Sheep is our best combo enabler, probably the best card in the deck, if I'm being honest. Verte Anaconda, we're not playing Dragoon, which is kind of the usual suspect to be playing with Verte, but the thing we're doing with this is it lets us turn any 2 spells into a fusion spell, any 2 monsters, that is, into a fusion spell. It's too good to leave home without with it. Boosts your consistency too much. Like, it can turn, you know, if you can make any 2 random things in play, you can then get access to your fusion spell, which is normally, you know, one of the weaknesses of Shaddoll is not finding your fusion spell. So it also gets around the once per turn on Shaddoll fusion, so if you do find one, then end up making a Verte during the turn, you can then also use Shaddoll fusion again, which is pretty crazy. Halki Vibrax opens us up to some really crazy lines. This is the hardest card to quantify the combos within the deck because there's just so many opportunities to make him. Like, you can make him off of, like, an aggressive Psyframe, Gear Gamma. You can make him off of Spore lines with the plant stuff. You can make him off of Falco. And then he also can tutor up a bunch of missing pieces as well, and help you link climb, as well as, you know, turn into a Nightmare Unicorn on his own as well. So we don't really have any, like, crazy deterministic Halki Vibrax lines, but there's a ton of opportunities to abuse Halki Vibrax, so that's why we're playing him. Side deck's kind of a mess. I just kind of threw in a bunch of stuff, and it's been okay. It's just with 60 cards, your side deck doesn't matter quite as much. You just have to play a bunch of the same effects. So we're playing 6 extra hand traps for those comboing matchups. If Drytron goes away, where obviously these kind of lose some potency, but Droll and Lockbird is still really good against a lot of decks, and with DD Crow. I've got Bebop and Rocksteady here for the sideboard. I just play one of each. Wendigo is actually something I'd advocate for in pretty much any Super Poly deck with Shaddoll because it's really good against Bird Up. It lets you can summon it with Super Poly through Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, and then proceed to break their board from there. So that's really important. Then we've just got a bunch of back row removal. This is just kind of whatever you want to play. I would always play these two, obviously. I like the Twin Twisters just because this deck's more of an OTK style, so being able to clear a bunch of stuff at once is more important than being able to, like, outgrind Eldritch with Cosmic Cyclone. So yeah, that's the deck profile. I'll show you guys some combos in the next section of the video here, so stay tuned. Okay, we're back. This is going to be a basic Shaddoll combo. If you've played Shaddoll before, this is going to be a pretty familiar combo to you, but just in case you're new to the deck or you haven't played in a while, this can be a nice little refresher for you. This is going to be for if your opponent doesn't have any monsters summoned from the extra deck in play, like say it's your first turn, and they haven't had a chance to special summon, or if they just are playing a deck that doesn't really use their extra deck, this is a combo you can do. It does require 3 specific cards. You need a fusion, you need a light monster, and you need either Squamata or Wendy in your hand. And then you also need a monster you can normal summon. You can forego the monster that you normal summon if they do have an extra deck monster in play, because you can just send Trick Clown off of Shaddoll Fusion, which fulfills that requirement, so that's why the Trick Clown is in the deck. So once you get to the point where you see the normal summon, you can see that that's when the Trick Clown would come into play for an extra deck version of Shaddoll Fusion. But so we can just get started here. So you play Shaddoll Fusion, you fuse off Squamata and the light monster to make Shaddoll Construct. Activate Shaddoll Construct, chain Squamata, So then you're going to go ahead and send Wendy from your deck with Squamata, and then with Construct you're going to send Shaddoll Incarnation. That'll go ahead and trigger Wendy. Wendy will summon up Nail Shaddoll Aerial from the deck for the next piece of the combo. Then we're going to go ahead and do our normal summon. This can be off of any normal summoned monster. I just have Wendy in here because it's the first card in the deck. But it can be any monster you can normal summon, or a monster you already have in play if you've already had a turn. So here comes the Wendy. So you're just going to link these off for a Cross Sheep. And then we're going to trigger Construct, get back our Shaddoll Fusion. This is just free real estate. We don't really need this at this point. If we were going for an OTK version, this would be a good pitch for Unicorn, though. Then we're going to go ahead and use Incarnation, remove Construct, flip a monster we control to face-up defense position. So we'll go ahead and do Aerial. Aerial will flip, and then we can play one of our remove from play Shaddolls. So we'll go ahead and put Construct in the Cross Sheep zone. Construct comes in, trigger. We'll use Construct, we'll pitch Shaddoll Schism. If we had more material in hand, we could also pitch Shaddoll Fusion if we were going for an OTK, but if we're going, this is a first turn combo example, so we'll just pitch Schism for our board setup, and then we'll use Cross Sheep to bring back whatever monster we already have in our graveyard. Doesn't really matter, because we're just going to link these off all for a 4 material Appaloosa, then trigger Shaddoll Construct, bring back Schism, and Bob's your uncle, just got Shaddoll Schism, and that's the combo right there. So that's a really basic Shaddoll combo for going first. If you're going second, you can, instead of the Appaloosa, link off Cross Sheep and one of your monsters for Unicorn. Use Unicorn to put one of their cards away with the Shaddoll Fusion, and then link up to an Access Code Talker, wipe the rest of their board, and then walk in with Access Code Talker and a Shaddoll Construct that you could fuse off of Shaddoll Fusion for a game. So that is combo number. Okay, this will be your basic combo off of a normal summoned Protoplant Orphis Scorpio. This just leads to a link 4. This can be any monster in your hand, you just need a monster to pitch to Scorpio. So go ahead and summon Scorpio, use its effect, go ahead and grab a Cobra. Cobra triggers, then we'll use Cobra to grab Instant Fusion, which is just, it sets up the Cross Sheep. So then we'll go Cross Sheep, Instant Fusion, grab Mud Dragon. Make sure you grab Mud Dragon, not Wendy or Winda, because we're going to trigger the Cross Sheep right here, and Winda would see that as your special summon, so just don't summon Winda. Then we'll just link off for an Appaloosa. That's a really basic link 4 combo. You can also go into Unicorn and then Access Code if you're on the draw. So that's a basic combo there. Okay, guys, and that's going to be the deck profile. It probably was a little long because I showed off a bunch of combos and I talked about a lot of the cards, and there were 60 cards to talk about, so that's fair enough. If you have any questions about how the combos work, or any of the card choices or anything like that, feel free to hit us up in the comment section, and then also make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so that you can see more content like this in the future. I love building rogue strategies mostly. You won't see me playing meta stuff on the channel, but you'll see me uploading rogue strats for this game quite a bit, so make sure to check us out there. Thanks for checking us out, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.